everyone. Welcome in. I'm Ashton Pollard here with Tyler Horka from blueandgold.com, and we just wrapped up practice number 6. It's actually quite nice out here today, which was a welcome change. It's around 70-ish degrees. The humidity is relatively low. We weren't just sweating for a straight 45 minutes standing in the sun, so that's the most exciting thing that happened today because we only got 5 periods. About 30 minutes, but we were able to glean a little bit from that, and we'll start with the biggest question. So, Tyler, what did you see from the quarterbacks today, / what have you been hearing from talking with the coaches over the last couple of days?
So the good thing is they both look pretty good.
Yeah.
Neither of them have looked like, okay, you are clearly not going to win this quarterback competition. So I guess I'll start right there. I think it might actually be a quarterback competition. We came into this fall camp saying, when is Tyler Buchner going to be named the starter? I think it's more of when is he going to hold off Drew Pyne, or is Drew Pyne going to assert himself and make this a thing that might last all the way up until the week of September 3rd. We talked to Marcus Freeman, our coworker Patrick Engel, and I in his office. I guess we're going on a month and a half ago now, and he said, look, if it takes until September 2nd, September 3rd, then it takes that long. We want to know who the starting quarterback is right now. I don't think you do, and that's a good thing. That means Drew Pyne is playing really well. I've liked the way that he's looked. He's made some plays. That first day that we sat here and did this video, I thought he made a lot of plays. Since then, we haven't seen a lot, like you said, just 5 periods. Mainly see them stretching, doing handoffs, throwing to GAs who are stationary in a corner. Everybody's going to look good when you're throwing. I could probably throw a tight spiral to a GA from 25 yards away.
I could probably do it too.
I never played college football, but I think they look confident, comfortable. It looks like this competition could span a week, 2 weeks. Like I said, it could span 3 weeks. It might span 2 more days. The next time we're doing a video, we might know, okay, Tyler Buchner's a starter, because all that is happening while we're not watching. But my main takeaway is they look good. I think Notre Dame's going to be comfortable and confident with whoever comes out as the winner.
Yeah, no, and I would agree with that assessment. I think it's less that Tyler Buchner doesn't look good, and therefore it could be Drew Pyne. It's more they both look pretty good. So, yeah, I agree with that. So kind of staying on the offensive side of the ball, we talked with Tommy Rees a couple of days ago, either about the quarterbacks or other things. Kind of what did you hear from him, and what is his general sentiment as he approaches his 3rd year as the offensive coordinator?
So I'll stick with what he thinks about the quarterbacks. With Tyler Buchner, he wants to see a leader, and he wants to see a guy that can make all the throws. Because last year, Tyler Buchner was not a leader. He was a true freshman. He was a package guy that came in and ran the ball, quite simply. I know he attempted 36 passes, but he ran the ball 46 times. If he's named the starter, that disparity is going to go the other way, and even more so, it's going to intensify in the other direction. Right. So he wants to see those things from Tyler Buchner. From Drew Pyne, he wants to see the guy who buzzed his head, is rocking a mustache, maybe looks a little slimmer. I think he's about the same weight, so that means he lost some of the stuff that you want to lose, and he gained some of the stuff you want to gain. He wants to see that guy on the football field commanding the offense, making all the throws. He wants to see a complete quarterback in his 3rd year at Notre Dame, a guy that has learned from Ian Book, from Jack Cohn. He wants to see a junior who's ready to start football games. So I think and again, the quarterback competition is waiting because he's waiting on those things to happen. From the rest of the offense, he kind of touched on all the rest of the position groups. Look, he's got one of the best tight ends in the country leading that group. I don't think he's worried about that guy, and he's not worried about the depth behind him. There's a bunch of really good tight ends, Kevin Bauman, Mitchell Evans when he comes back, Kane Barong even, and the 2 freshmen look amazing to me. Holden Stays and Eli Raridan look like they could play right now. He's not worried about that group. He's not worried about Harry Heastan leading an offensive line group that, again, could be one of the best in the country. We just talked to Jarrett Patterson. We just talked to Josh Lugg. It seems like those guys have been at Notre Dame since 2010. Did they play Alabama in that national championship game? I don't know. You'll have to go back and look for yourself. But they've been here a long time. If those are the guys leading some of these other guys, I mean, you got those 2 veteran presences, and then you have 2 of the most talented sophomores in the country in Joe Alt and Blake Fisher. And then Zeke Correll, if the coaching staff is as confident as they are, as they sound, if he's going to play up to that standard, you have 5 guys across the line who Marcus Freeman said it, Harry Heastan has said it, Tommy Rees said it. You have a collection of 5 guys who are going to look really, really good out there. And then with the wide receivers, I know that was a main concern coming into fall camp, but I think they look really good. Tobias Merriweather, I just walked out there again today, and Mike Singer is in South Bend. Shout out Mike Singer. And we just went up to Tobias Merriweather. I was like, that kid's a freshman.
Yeah.
That kid could
huge.
play right now. He's
Yeah.
tall. He towers over everybody. It looks like he has really good hands. Lorenzo Styles looks really good. Jaden Thomas, Braden Lindsay. Avery Davis looks awesome. He's rocking a visor, by the way, that looks really sweet. He looks like the typical slot guy that's going to get you a first down on 3rd and 7. So I know the numbers are thin, but Tommy Rees likes what he has in those guys, and I think if they stay healthy, they could be a decent unit for Notre Dame.
Yeah, no, and I agree with everything that Tyler said. The way that, and I know we've said this kind of before on certain videos or broadcasts, but we split up our staff. So I was primarily watching defense. Tyler's primarily watching offense, but obviously there is some crossover, and I would totally agree with everything you just said. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we talked with Al Golden the other day, and I would say that the dominant theme was intelligence. Every player, every position you ask him about, he basically begins with, I'm so blessed to be working with such a smart group. He was asked kind of about the transition from the NFL back to college, where you're going from guys who it is quite literally their profession to guys who in theory it's not, but he basically was like, it's kind of the same because these guys show up and they're professionals every single day. We spoke with him specifically about the linebackers because he is also the linebackers coach. Same refrain. He's very excited to have those top 4 guys, those top 4 seniors or 5th years in Bo Bauer, Maris Leofau, JD Bertrand, and Jack Kaiser. And then there's kind of a gap, and then he has a lot of young guys, as we know this spring, I guess. There were 4 early enrollee linebackers that all looked really good. I would say they still all look really good. But yeah, they maybe not like super like ready to play, ready to start day one, but I think that might be more of a product of who's above them on the depth chart and the experience and the intelligence that your JD Bertrands of the team come to practice with. But they all look quite good. So Tyler, anything on the defense before we switch over?
I'll just add that linebacker is another position group where, like I said, with the offensive line and the tight ends, you look at it and you go, there was no reason to feel any sort of skepticism or you're not pessimistic about that group whatsoever because of the veteran guys that you just said, and because the younger guys look like in 2 or 3 years they might even be better than these older guys that are ahead of them on the depth chart. So a lot to like from the linebacking group.
Yeah, absolutely. And we, as we said, we just talked with Harry Houston. We will talk with Al Washington tomorrow. So be on the lookout for a little more defensive line focused stuff then. And then I guess kind of lastly, we'll go into just maybe the themes of practice that we've seen, less personnel, less depth chart predictions, but more just kind of what the focuses are. What have you seen on either side of the ball?
I will say ball security, special teams, and ball security goes for both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
The offensive coaches, so every practice starts out with the strip drill, really simple. Offensive player has the ball tucked. He runs a straight line, probably 20, 25 yards. Defensive player, I've seen 2 at one time, and I've seen 1 defensive player just kind of draped all over the offensive player, literally punching at the ball, trying to force a fumble. Offensive coaches want to see the ball stay put. Defensive coaches want to see the ball on the ground. So in one drill, you're kind of you're enforcing 2 things. No fumbles when you're on offense, and get that ball out of there, force turnovers when you're on defense. So, and that kind of bleeds into some of the other drills that I've seen with the running backs, especially. DeLon McCullough has been all about trying to get his guys to fumble, and they haven't been. So I wrote about it today. Outwardly, maybe he's a little frustrated that he can't get the ball out of his guys' arms, but when it comes to September 3rd, he's going to be really happy because they're not going to fumble.
Exactly.
And then with special teams, really cool drill that we saw today. It didn't matter if your name was Michael Mayer, Braden Lindsay, Jaden Thomas, Holden Stays. Everybody was in on a punt blocking drill that was literally designed. I think they were using volleyballs. Maybe they were soccer balls.
I think they were volleyballs, but they might have been soccer balls. They were positioned in the middle of the field, like kind of near the 50-yard line, and we had to stay on the perimeter. But that type of ball, volleyball, soccer ball, whatever.
And the punter was just holding it, no intention to kick it, and either Michael Mayer, whoever it may be, Lorenzo Styles even crashes through the middle or, comes around either of the ends and tries to get to the ball. Don't touch the kicker or Brian Mason will yell at you, and don't cross whatever that means. I don't know if there's an imaginary plane. There's something that he told them that they can't do, and if he did it, you would get yelled at. So the Brian Mason that we talked to in March that said special teams are going to be a whole lot different here now. They're going to be a heavy emphasis. They're going to be just as important as offense or defense. He wasn't lying. We've seen that, and it's been a recurring theme in practice.
Yeah, absolutely. I said before we recorded this video to Tyler that when you hear a special teams coordinator sometimes talk about, oh, we're going to get all of our starters on special teams, they want that, obviously, but then you might get some hesitancy from the head coach. It seems like Marcus Freeman's leaning into that, letting Brian Mason kind of do what he wants, use his starters, use his Michael Mayers, use his Brandon Joseph for punt return, like use those really high-level guys and those veteran guys up there, seemingly with no pushback from Marcus Freeman. And then I'll just say, kind of lastly, this goes back to the turnover thing, but something that I was watching today was when they're doing drills with the defensive backs, if they drop an interception, if they don't do their job, basically, they are forced to do push-ups or some sort of starting over the drill. Like there's little room for mistakes here, and I don't say that in like a dictatorship sort of way, but just more of like okay, like this was a pick-off drill that you were supposed to be doing and you dropped the ball, like you're going to do it again and then you're going to do push-ups. So we saw a couple of guys do that. Again, nothing like too alarming, but I like the focus on that shows they're clearly locked in, and this whole turnover prevention thing goes to every single member of the team, starter, non-starter, offense, defense, whatever. But yeah. All right, we will wrap up here. Make sure that you check out blueandgold.com. We still have our $1 for 1 year deal going that will probably not be around much longer, so make sure you check that out. And that also gets you access to the message board, all of our recruiting stuff from Mike Singer, a lot of the premium content that we put out that's going to be more of like the analysis of what we've seen at fall camp, some of that, those deeper dives and more historical looks, I guess. But yeah, make sure you check that out, and we will be back, I guess, tomorrow. So thanks.